Hi, I'm Leon Sakoh, and I'd like to speak about a personal experience that I had in Japanese school. This is going to be a very short presentation, but I hope you can get something from this. So the first thing I want you to imagine here is when you're in high school, when you're in class, sorry, not in high school, middle school, you're in class, and you speak up, but no one actually listens to you, and they never hear you. They acknowledge that you're there, sure, but they don't really listen to you. When you want to speak up against something that's wrong, people don't really, again, hear you out and help out with anything that you need. And let me ask, did you get in trouble for this? Because I actually did. Now, this is about people not, and teachers not listening, and so on. And this is about my experiences in Japanese school, and I just like to point out why this happens. And it's no one's fault, and there's always a reason here. So if I can just look through here, Japanese school is compulsory, and it's pretty long until junior high. And a lot of people go into high school, and they actually study to get into university. It's actually 90% of the students, male and female, are accepted and actually study for university. So there's a constant rat race that actually goes on within the people. And on top of that, like in Western schools, I know that you've got multiple friends and people that you can joke around with. But in societies such as this, where everything's so locked in and compact, there's no place for you to actually say, all right, I'm going to actually have some fun. It's all about studying and being pushed hard to be the best you can be. And the funny thing about Japan, and basically any Asian country, is that the people who are way more experienced than you are, no matter what age you are. So for example, if you're in a business and you're a 50-year-old guy, and then there's a 25-year-old young man, even though he's younger than you and inexperienced in life, you still call him senpai, who a superior. So you need to listen to him or her, about whatever it is. So that I couldn't really understand. So that really got me into trouble. And again, this starts from a young age, and it's another culture difference. But that always just shaped me and kind of changed me a little bit. And yes, that's right. And so I forgot to show this one, but this is the university acceptance rate. I'm sorry, can't really see what's on here, but as you can see, this is 1960. This is the percentage rate, and if you go way over here, this is pretty high, and this is a Japanese graph. But in Western universities, it's kind of a bit different. I mean, this is a lot higher. The average is way more higher than anyone would expect, and I like to explain the class environment and what kind of place I was in. So I would sit down and get on with my studies. And it's just like this, actually. I think I know where this school is. It might be where I was. I'm not entirely sure. But this is what it's like. And there is no socializing. And in this school, actually, what's really great is that we've got desks that look at each other. We kind of, on tests, we put it apart because we might cheat. But usually in class, we talk to each other. But in Japanese schools, you're not allowed to speak to each other, usually, at least where I was. And you're supposed to get on with your studies. So that causes, again, a rat race between each student. And even if you ask for help, they won't really kind of shut you up and say, hey, shh, you know. And even if you want to ask for help, they won't help you. And same with teachers. And finally, I like to speak about my experience to give you an image about what it's actually like. So I remember my friend who was, he had required needs, and he was a bit different from everyone else, and he couldn't get the stuff done on paper. And his name is Takeshi. No, Takeshi. He couldn't understand basic processes, and he was being bullied all the time because he was different. And one time he was late to mathematics, and my teachers and my classmates actually started kind of isolating him a little bit, saying that he wasn't really into the lesson, and saying that he wasn't interested, and that's why he was late. And he was bullied, and I actually saw this. And even he asked for help and screamed for help. No one actually did, and they were hearing him, but they weren't getting kind of into it. They were listening in that sense. And he was being bullied, and the teachers actually kind of hit him with a binder. And I asked him if he was okay later, and he said it was normal. And that really struck me, because that was the first time I've actually seen a teacher hit a student. And I knew he wanted help, but he didn't really reach out for that, and he said that he was fine. This was in 3rd grade, so it was something that I didn't really expect, and something that, and I'm going to tell you what happens to him later on, which might shock you, and is a very common problem. And again, another thing with my friend, who is, again, Takeshi, he couldn't understand something about one of the theories of philosophy, and it was a very difficult philosophy. And he wanted some help, so we looked around the class, and he said, "Excuse me, sir, I'd like some help. I don't really understand it." The teacher just said, "Well, you're not reading it." But the problem is he couldn't read it. He just can't read the characters, so he's not going to understand anything on paper. And I'm not really good at kanji, but I could still understand a few things, so I had to help him out. But I was the only guy out for it, and I even asked for help. But again, the teacher would say, "Well, it's not your job to look after them. It's their parents, and how they put in work into their child or just not learning." And again, that really hit me hard. And what happened to Takeshi very recently is that I actually kind of got this news, and I was shocked, is that I lost him actually. He took his life because of that. That he was bullied constantly. So I decided to talk about this because it's so important to us of listening to people and understanding what they actually mean. And I like to add, I'm just going to go back here. And I suggested to teachers that there would be another solution to it. If he's always late to class, maybe I said, maybe you can contact the parents and say, "Excuse me, ma'am, your son is always late." But the teachers don't do that. And this isn't anything to bash teachers, but he and everyone would say they need help, and they would say, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm okay." But are they actually okay is something that I actually want to ask everyone. And I'm just going to move on to the next one here, is that the solution, and this is very easy, and I'm sure you guys all know this because this is a community where I hope we are looking after each other and ourselves, is to ask if that person is okay and actually look into what they needed. Because what I needed was attention, really. I needed attention through my studies, and I wanted help in my studies, and I wanted to understand what's in front of me, because I loved what I was studying, and that year I kind of lost hope of education because of that, saying, no one's going to help me. But now is a chance to say that if you really need help with anything, it could be anything dumb, you have to ask for that help, or else no one's actually going to speak up for it, because this is a world, an evil world, where people don't really see if you need help or not. And what I really thought about this when I was writing up the presentation is about all the people that I knew, and I still know to this day, who actually need the help and the attention. And to come to think of that, it's too much compared to the people who are actually privileged to get everything they want. So what I want you to do from today is to make sure that you are looking out for anyone that is in need of help. Even if you don't know that person, say, "Are you okay? Would you like any help?" And I hope they say yes, because they will need it, or else consequences won't happen. It's a very short presentation, but I'd like to wrap this up. Thank you very much for listening.